Hello again in OGS Mechanics Workshop. Today we've got a BMW 2 Series. The car has undergone some repairs, came to us from a body shop. They had some body work to do on it. Um, After we've fixed some of the problems on the engine ECU, we are left with a couple of faults that are very common for this type of engine. This is 218 model with the B47 diesel engine. We are connected on the car using the hotel. Just wanted to show you exactly the faults that we see. So we have the management light on constantly. Even if you will try to reset the fault will clear, but then without even starting the engine, the fault comes back. So we're just going to take it step by step. First of all, we will run this diagnostic test on the engine. See, so on the control unit, okay, so this fault 36F600 air mass system plausibility, excessive leakage in the intake system detected, is a very common fault. I've seen it quite across in few topics online. Now, whatever checks we've done, we couldn't conclude anything physically, no, like a leak, intake air leak. But the thing is, we not even relate to that because the problem does not come when the engine is running. So you delete the fault, but it comes on straight away by even cycling the ignition. So at the moment, we are ruling out any actual issue with the engine mechanics, mass airflow meter, although we've done a check, but only because the fault comes on without even starting the engine, we're putting on a side. We have tried to reset all the adaptation using an hotel tool. However, this has not worked out. And what we're doing now, we are in the process of connecting the dealer tool. So we will disconnect now the hotel. We will connect the dealer tool to run a test plan with it, and then according with the results, we might end up doing a software update on it. So we are cracking on it. We'll swap over the connectors and get on with ISTA. We have now the ISTA connected, the BMW tool, which is a bit of a slow tool. It's not the fastest tool on earth. So yeah, we'll proceed running a test plan with it, and then according to the results, we might even conclude to do software update. What I want to show you is that obviously we need to start the engine. What it is, there's a permanent message on a dash. Let me see if I can experience that. So that's the fault, the drivetrain fault. It won't clear no matter what. Drivetrain, even with the ignition off, with the engine off, you can clear the fault, but it will come back straight away. Now, we do have the test concluded. In here we have some historic faults. We actually had some problems with the fuel pressure sensor. It is a sensor that it had some problems. It's actually this sensor here located on the pipe, and this is an interesting fact. We're jumping a bit onto it, spending a bit of time. We had fuel coming out from the sensor into the wiring, going all the way to the engine ECU. That was quite a thing. We had some fuel also in the engine ECU. Now it's all dry. We don't suspect he has caused an issue there, but anyway, that's the reason we have this historic faults in there. So our target is the intake car plausibility 36F600, exactly same fault in here on auto, slightly different description. And what we want to do, we want to calculate the test plan for this particular fault, and let's see what the system will come back with. So in here, what we have for the air mass, it is an air mass test that has to be carried out for the fault related with air mass plausibility. We're gonna carry on this and then we'll see from there. Okay, so I had to do an update in the meantime for the software, and we restarted from this stage. We've gone to a stage where we clear the other faults, and we are doing a test plan for the air mass fault. Now within this, the system is gonna run a check on various components, and it's gonna come with recommendation based on the data that is going to read. As you can see, there are several steps and several components getting checks during that. Charge pressure, temperature, EGR, swirl flaps, throttle. Okay, so it does says possible intake leaking. However, we know that currently there are no leaks, and it's just a matter of resetting the fault. So we're just going to click continue to see whether it's going to take us forward. So according to the fault, this is again generic information and not any clear fault. So if we go forward, keeps on evaluating the data. So yeah, additional checks are carried out. We have to see what the recommendations there will be. Okay, perform checks. Leakage on the exhaust, recirculation cooler. Okay, so just some condition. Okay, so it will be a function where we have to start the engine. Okay, run the engine at idle speed. So it is now a stage where the dealer tool will run data okay, so let's see. Okay, so the tool will run a data reading on a map sensor. Is gonna rev up the engine because what is gonna happen is reading throughout different engine speed the intake map readings. Okay. Okay, so the conclusion is difference between the air temperature and the charge air temperature is okay, which is good. Let's see the other conclusion that has been drawn. Definitely not the fastest software. Okay, so other tests that have to be concluded. Again, I'm just reading also the instruction in the same time. Engine is revved up again. The EGR is open and shut. Rotational speed was too low. Okay, so it seems that maybe the turbo pressure was too low. Yeah, okay, so we'll see what the conclusion comes on. Uh, I'm reading in the same time the instructions. Let's see what the conclusion. Okay, evaluate. Sorry. So let's see what the conclusion has been drawn. The measure values were okay. Okay, so if the measure value were okay, we can click continue. Okay, so now we've got to a different stage where it says that we have to install, either continue with the leakage test on the exhaust gas recirculation or enter the identification data. We have not replaced the EGR cooler, so what I will have to do now, we'll have to do some checks to see whether it looks like there's a new EGR. Um, in here, there's also a description if the EGR was replaced. Yeah, those are the conditions. So this is what is happening with the EGR. It gets clogged. Tells you the condition where is oil and how it can be, how it can't be. Yeah, this is something very common that we see in new EGR coolers. So yeah, we just have to investigate what cooler it has, what has been replaced, and then we'll proceed with the next steps. Okay, so a bit fast forward, we have carried out the same procedure that we just did before. Eventually, we managed to get rid of the fault, a permanent fault that it was related with the MUF sensor. The only way to do so, it was by completing the same test plan that we just done earlier. We checked for a software update. There was no software update available. So now the fault has disappeared. Like I said previously, you could cycle the ignition, and the fault was coming on. Now there are no faults. We're gonna proceed in a road test with the vehicle. I'm a bit suspicious because that fault was triggered for a reason. One of the very common thing will be a partially blocked EGR cooler after we read through the test plan on the BMW. So we're just gonna head in a road test and see how the car is gonna behave, see the data on the MAF sensor, and see whether we're gonna have any fault returning, because my suspicion is that there's an underlying issue that has caused in the first place the fault to be triggered. So we're just gonna head in a road test now, as said, and let's see what else we're gonna uncover afterwards. That's the thing, because we have no history on the vehicle. The car has been purchased from auction, so it's a lot unknown, but we're gonna uncover it. we have now completed an extensive road test, and when we scan the car, we have some faults coming back. So there's an oxygen sense open circuit that probably is a faulty sensor, but we have returned a fault related with the air mass system. It says the air mass is too high. Now the car has not gone into limp mode, it drives fine, but it triggered the fault. And what I suspect in here, an air mass too high fault indicates an EGR system not working correctly, maybe partially blocked. Maybe the cooler could be partially blocked. This is the most common thing that we see, and probably when this fault is seen several times, then the car will go in limp mode. So at this stage we need to investigate this fault that has returned in the road test that we have. I said now the car is dry beautiful, no warning lights on, and it's not in limp mode, but definitely the situation will change with the continuously driving. So we need to investigate this fault going forward. Righty ho, so it looks like we really have came to the bottom of the problem after we have checked more into fault related with the MAF sense reading. After we managed to clear the adaptation with the dealer tool, we spent a bit more time, and what we have found is something quite interesting. This is a blanking plate that was fitted on the EGR cooler. Of course, with this in place, there won't be no flow of gases, and the reading of the MAF sensor will be incorrect. This is the MAF sensor, mass airflow sensor. So yeah, looks like someone has done some test on the car and then they gave up on it. It was more comprehensive. Now, to recap, the car came in, it was running very rough. What we have found, this fuel sensor was defective. This is a pressure temperature sensor. This was defective, and what it is, through the wiring of it, there was fuel, and then we also found fuel right up to the ECU, which is located here in this box. So we strip apart the ECU, we've cleaned it, and then all what we are left, it was a fault related with the MAF intake air leakage. We have the fault in the beginning of the video, and we couldn't clear until we used the dealer tool to perform the air mass test. Once we have done that, and interestingly enough, it has passed the test even with the blanking on EGR. That's quite strange, but anyway, it managed to pass the test. Probably didn't test the EGR in a full on operation, but anyway, it passed the test on the MAF sensor, and then it deleted the fault. But on the road test, you've seen it was keep bringing a fault related with the mass airflow values. Obviously, with that blank on EGR, of course, the values, they were incorrect in correlation with what the ECU was expecting to see. So this should solve the problem. We have also checked, and it looks like this car is going to have a near recall with the main dealer for the EGR cooler. But anyway, we are concerned to our problem to see whether this fault is going to be clear. So we need to order a gasket for this particular one because the gasket was missing, and then reinstall and take it in a road test. It was also another fault related with the oxygen sensor, but that's to be totally separate. We're just concerned on the air intake air mass circuit faults to get rid of those. So I think this should be the end of it, but we're just gonna do a road test and see exactly if anything else is gonna return related with the air mass. Have now completed quite an extensive road test. The car drives beautiful. We are looking on the data on the MAF sensor. This is the actual versus nominal. The difference is within the tolerance, and when we scan for the faults, previously, just want to give you a bit of understanding. So what it was, the air mass, this is the actual value, this is what the ECU is expecting to see. Previously, when the EGR was opening and it was what is happening when the EGR opens is expecting that the air mass will drop. That was not happening because of the blanking plate. So you can see when you rev it up, the engine, the air mass goes high, and then see, you can see now it goes a bit low. So that's when the EGR kicks in. Sometimes you stay at 35 when the EGR is close, but when he opens, he has to go down, and now he operates fine. When we scan the car, the only fault that we are left is the oxygen sensor. Obviously, this is not related with the air mass situation that we have encountered. So this was the fix for the problem, permanent problem that was putting our car into limp mode, and there was no way to clear the fault. So again, to recap, car came in various faults, was in limp mode. It was initially we found the fuel pressure temperature sensor that was faulty, and fuel has traveled through the wiring into the ECU. We have fixed that. Then we had another problem when the engine was not revving properly. We have concluded that was a throttle body problem. We replaced the throttle body. We managed to get rid of that problem also, but then the car was revving, but it was in limp mode, and the problem in there, it was a fault related with the air mass. So we don't know exactly the course of the problem. The car has been purchased on auction. Someone, it seems that he worked on it, and at some point they gave up. So after we managed to get rid of the main subject of the video is the fault that was related with the air mass leakage, and we could not get rid of that problem until we used the dealer tool and we performed the procedure of air mass test. Once we done that, and that was completed successfully, we managed to get rid of the problem. Then you've seen we put it in a road test. It was another fault related with the air mass too high, and that was caused by the blanking plate that someone put it on the EGR cooler. They probably run some tests, and like I said, they probably gave up at that moment. So after we removed the blanking plate, cleared the fault, tested the car, nothing related with the air mass. The car drives beautiful, only this with the oxygen sensor, but probably most likely it's going to be a sensor or plug. But we have, was the fix for the air mass leakage permanent fault. It could only be cleared with ISTA-P BMW tool. I hope this is useful if you came across in a situation like this and you're looking for a solution. If you like the video, please like it, share, subscribe to our channel for more videos, informative videos on car repairs. Thank you very much, and see you soon.